the HOA president who tried to steal my cabin. I opened the door of my lake cabin one quiet Friday afternoon and froze. Standing on my porch was a teenager wearing mirrored sunglasses, a man bun that defied gravity, a vape pen tucked behind his ear like a pencil, and a six-pack of White Claw in his hand. "You've got to leave," he said flatly, adjusting his sunglasses though we were standing in the shade. "Mom said I can use this place for my graduation rager." "You've had it long enough." I blinked twice, certain I'd misheard him. "Excuse me? You're serious?" He smirked, flashing freshly whitened teeth. "You should have RSVP'd to the HOA party list, dude. Now it's my turn." I studied him for a moment, that supreme teenage confidence that comes from never facing real consequences. "And your mother is Brenda Fitzgerald," he said proudly. "She runs this whole place." He gestured vaguely at the pine trees surrounding the lake. "So yeah, clear out by 6. DJ's coming." 30 minutes later, his party was broken up by 8 squad cars, 2 K9 units, and a lake patrol boat. Because I wasn't just the cabin's owner. I was Chief Daniel Morrison, head of the Silver Ridge County Police Department, and that kid had just made the biggest mistake of his young life. How it all started, 3 years earlier. I bought this lakeside cabin in Pine Valley Estates after my divorce. It was my sanctuary, a place to fish, read, and escape the stress of running a police department. Pine Valley was a gated HOA community notorious for its strict rules. Grass height, mailbox color, even what type of bird feeders were allowed. I'd picked a cabin at the far edge of the lake, private and quiet. Nobody knew I was the police chief. To them, I was just Dan, the quiet guy who kept to himself and always brought his trash cans in on time. Enter Brenda Fitzgerald, HOA president, self-proclaimed community organizer, and mother to the teenager now standing on my porch. Brenda was the type who measured lawns with a ruler and fined people for having wind chimes that were too melodic. I'd managed to avoid her radar until her son, Tyler, discovered my cabin while paddleboarding with friends. Apparently, he decided it was the perfect venue for his senior send-off. And Brenda, in her infinite arrogance, agreed. The emails. Begin 2 weeks before that Friday, Brenda emailed me. Her tone was sweet, the kind that hides poison underneath. She asked if I was done enjoying my cabin for the season, suggesting that it might be nice to share the lakefront blessing with the younger community members. I politely declined, explaining that I used my cabin year-round. Her next message was less friendly. She wrote that the HOA was considering a community cabin rotation policy that would require lakefront owners to make their homes available for community events. She even attached a crudely formatted proposal that looked like it was made in Microsoft Paint. I ignored it. That was my first mistake. A week later, I received an official-looking letter on HOA letterhead. It stated that my cabin had been selected for the June Youth Appreciation Weekend, Tyler's graduation party being the inaugural event. The letter was signed by Brenda and 2 board members I'd never heard of. I responded with a firm, professional email, citing actual property law and explaining that private property within an HOA remains private. I assumed that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Things escalate. My trail cameras soon caught Tyler trespassing. He took selfies on my dock, posed with my kayak, even tried to jimmy the lock on my shed. He posted the photos online with captions like, "Scouting the venue," and "This place is about to be lit." Then, on Thursday night, Brenda called me. "Dan," she said sweetly, "I really think you're being unreasonable. The children of this community deserve to celebrate their achievements. Surely you remember being young." "I remember respecting other people's property," I said evenly. Her tone turned cold. "Well, I tried to do this the nice way. But the HOA has broad powers when it comes to community wellness. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Are you threatening me, Brenda?" "I'm informing you of your obligations as a member of this community," she said, and hung up. The confrontation. That Friday, I took a half-day off work, uneasy about Brenda's threat. When I arrived, my gate was open, the lock cut and tiki torches planted haphazardly along my driveway. Inside, I found chaos. My living room had been turned into a nightclub. Neon lights, beer pong tables, glow sticks taped to my mounted base. My kitchen was a mess of chips, red cups, and enough alcohol to supply a small bar. And there, standing proudly in the middle of it all, was Tyler, wearing my grandfather's fishing hat. When he told me to clear out, I simply stepped onto the porch and made a call. "Hey, Richardson, it's Morrison. I need units to my cabin at Pine Valley. We've got a B&E in progress, underage drinking, and possible theft. Full response or low-key, Chief?" I looked at Tyler, who was now doing a TikTok dance on my deck. "Light them up." 20 minutes later, the woods erupted with sirens. Squad cars roared down the road, lights flashing. Teenagers scattered in all directions. Tyler tried to run but tripped over his flip-flops, then attempted to hide in my canoe, which promptly drifted into the lake where Officer Martinez waited in the patrol boat. "I want my mom," he yelled. "Don't worry," Martinez said cheerfully. "We're calling her right now." Brenda's arrival. Brenda arrived 15 minutes later in her white Range Rover, horn blaring. She jumped out in yoga pants and a Live, Laugh, Love shirt, face red with outrage. "What is the meaning of this?" she shouted. "This is an HOA-sanctioned event. I demand you leave immediately." I stepped from behind a patrol car, now wearing my full uniform. Brenda's mouth fell open. You're the chief?" "I said I worked for the county," I reminded her. "I never specified how." "This is entrapment," she sputtered. "You lied about your identity." "No," I said calmly. "I just didn't advertise it. Unlike your son, who advertised his crime on social media." I held up my phone, showing his posts. He even tagged the location. Officer Chan appeared with Tyler in handcuffs. The boy's confidence was gone. "Mom, tell them about the community property thing," he begged. "The HOA has an easement on all lakefront properties," Brenda insisted. "Really?" I scrolled through my phone. "Because the bylaws I have here don't mention anything about property seizure, only respecting neighbors' property rights." Lieutenant Walker joined us, holding a clipboard. "Chief, we've got enough alcohol here for 100 minors. Kid even made a spreadsheet for cover charges." "That's entrepreneurship," Brenda snapped. "That's contributing to the delinquency of minors," I corrected. "And since you knew and facilitated it, you're an accessory." Her face drained of color. "I want a lawyer." "Good idea," I said. "You'll need one, for both the criminal charges and the civil suit." The fall of Brenda Fitzgerald word spread quickly. By the next morning, the HOA called an emergency meeting. I attended in uniform, bringing footage from my cabin's hidden cameras. Brenda tried to lead the meeting, her voice trembling. "Let's begin. Motion to discuss the president's recent criminal activities," called out Robert Jameson, a retired attorney. "You can't." "Section 12.4, Robert interrupted. "Any board member facing criminal charges must step down pending resolution. They're just citations," Brenda argued weakly. I stood up. "Would the board like to see footage of her son breaking into my cabin? Or her messages threatening to use HOA power to take my property?" The room erupted. Neighbors shared stories of her bullying, fines over curtain colors, threats over bird feeders, harassment over lawn ornaments. "Motion to remove Brenda Fitzgerald as HOA president," someone shouted. "Second!" echoed half the room. The vote was unanimous. Even her allies turned against her. Brenda stood furious. "You'll regret this. Your property values will plummet." "The only thing plummeting," I said, "is your reputation and your son's college prospects." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the welcome sign fell. Justice served Tyler eventually pled guilty to misdemeanor trespass, underage drinking, and theft. He got 6 months probation, 100 hours of community service, and paid me $2,000 in restitution, including for my grandfather's hat. Brenda wasn't so lucky. She was fined heavily for enabling trespass and contributing to delinquency. But during the investigation, the new HOA board discovered something far worse. She'd been embezzling HOA funds, over $47,000 disguised as community retreats, those vision board weekends. Spa trips for her and her friends, charged with embezzlement, a Class D felony. She stood in court insisting it was a misunderstanding. "Mrs. Fitzgerald," the judge said dryly, You don't misunderstand $47,000 over 3 years. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison, 2 suspended. She'll serve 1, followed by probation and restitution. Epilogue. I saw her once more at the grocery store, months later. No makeup, wearing sweatpants, a shadow of her former self. I hope you're happy, she said bitterly. You destroyed my life over a stupid party. No, Brenda, I said quietly. You destroyed it yourself. I just refused to be bullied. She looked at me with hollow eyes. My lawyer says I might serve 5 years. Actions have consequences, I replied, the same lesson I'd taught her son. Today, my cabin is peaceful again, with new locks and better cameras. The new HOA board is fair, focused on real community values. They even offered to reimburse me for the damage from recovered funds, but I declined. Some evenings, I sit on my dock, the lake calm and golden at sunset, and think about how all of this started, with one entitled teenager and a woman who believed the rules didn't apply to her.